So Richard Tice has been moaning about the far-right label that was given by the BBC in one of their news reports, which they later apologised, and Tice responded by saying, "There are very significant implications of calling a political party, and by implication, its leader and senior leadership team far-right. It is that which is defamatory and libellous. That is why they have apologised immediately." Tice suggested that he and others could lose their bank accounts or the ability to get a mortgage. He said his lawyers had also been in touch with other organisations. Now, this was Nigel Farage's response on GB News.
The BBC has been forced to issue a grovelling apology after they branded Reform UK as far-right in a news report a few days ago. Has the Beeb shown its true colours here, Nigel?
I'm afraid so, yes. We saw these tricks being played with and I understand that Richard Tice had to go to law to get this corrected, but corrected it has been, and let's hope that no other media outlets make the same mistake.
Do you think there is more of a rush to call people far-right than far-left?
Well, I think, according to the BBC, almost everybody's far-right, aren't they? Any new party that rises up or new government that gets elected gets called far-right. We never hear far-left. We never, ever hear the phrase far-left.
We never hear far-left. Really? No, we never, ever, ever hear it. Not even once. All we hear is far-left. And when the mainstream media calls Reform far-right, they apologise. How many pundits on GB News call even the current Labour Party, which is a centre-right neoliberal party, far-left? This is an outright lie from Farage, but I will agree with Richard Tice that these labels have implications. Yet every single day, people who oppose a genocide or who go on marches against a genocide, they're called terror supporters. Now, to me, a far left is a communist anarchist, which, fair enough, these people want an egalitarian society, a radical way of getting rid of all hierarchies and everyone is equal. Now, contrast that with the far right, where their politics is purely based on division, based on racism and bigotry. Look, being concerned about immigration is obviously not far right, but making that the only thing you care about above anything else, blaming every single thing in the world on immigration, and it's the only thing you ever talk about, I think that makes you firmly on the right. Now, of course, there is a bit of a spectrum. I mean, you can be on the far right without openly saying you support Hitler, although for some, openly is the operative word. I mean, someone like Trump, he's far right, no question. If you openly support him like Farage does, you don't get to lecture people about being far right. Now, Reform is basically UKIP turned Brexit party turned Reform, a party that Farage backs. Now, the latest candidate who was announced for Reform really doesn't beat the far-right allegations. This is Ginny H. Ball, who was picked to stand in Rutland and Stamford. Now, this brilliant thread was put together by Twitter user Snig's Kitchen. She also has a food blog. So I want to credit her for putting together all the lovely things about Ginny H. Ball. Why would Ginny H. Ball suggest the British-born and British-educated political and women's rights commentator Shola Moss Shogbamimu should be deported? Then there's a screenshot of this interaction where you can see Ball calling for a British black person to be deported. Here's Ginny saying that all black people or black citizens should be deported for a crime, irrespective if they were born here. Which Snigs asks the question whether Ginny would feel the same if they were white, which I think is a very good question, which I think we know the answer to. Now, 2 years ago, Paulette Hamilton became Birmingham's first black MP, and Ginny said, "Staggered it is still called the black country, or perhaps not." I mean, what does that even mean? Obviously, she's being racist, but it's so incoherent. The sentence itself is incoherent, which, doesn't surprise me for a racist. Now, here's Ginny calling for a BBC radio presenter who was British and who was born here to go to a black-only country. Now, the presenter was making a point about a lack of diversity in the media. You may not agree, but this is a person of colour talking about his experience in the media and the fact it's very white-dominated. And saying that, well, you should go to a black country, despite being born here, being British, is racist. Parts of the country come to a standstill because of snow every single time. And Ginny H. Ball says, if the snow was black, perhaps it wouldn't be a problem. I mean, again, don't really get it. Obviously trying to make a pathetic racist joke, but it's just an embarrassment. Now, I could go on because the list is incredibly long, but my understanding is that she has been dropped, but only after being exposed. whatever happens with her candidacy, the fact that she was drawn to Reform in the first place, the fact that Reform had her as a candidate speaks volumes. She isn't the only one. I mean, the same Twitter user seems to be quite busy and has done similar threads on other Reform candidates. Look, there's a big crossover between those who support Tommy Robinson, the EDL, who are also in support of Reform, and some of them have tried to be a candidate for Reform, including one Roger M. Ho. He seems to be a fan of old Tommy, and he is no longer the Reform candidate after Sneak's Kitchen exposed him too. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Do I think Reform are far right? Yes, I do. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and drop a comment. It's good for the algorithm, and I'm interested in what you have to say. If you're not already subscribed, please do, and hit the notification bell. You can also support this channel by becoming a member for 99p per month, and if you're feeling a little more generous, then you can support us on Patreon for £3 or £5 per month. This channel for a while has been uploading every single day, and it's quite a lot of work that is still voluntary and scheduled around my paid work. But I have so much ambition, expect in the future to see more variety in content, such as interviews and Vox Pops. But I want this to be a fully fledged media organisation where not only is this my full-time job, but to have multiple people working for Turn Left. I like to see a live show in the future, more content that delves into culture, history, and much more. But that can only be done if there's money. So please, if you can, support us in any way that's in your capacity. And thank you to existing members, subscribers, and patrons. See you next time.